Hey everybody, I am back with a second iteration and some updates for the my concept of the companion app for the Aptera vehicle. I want to thank everybody for your suggestions and your comments that I've gotten on LinkedIn and the different places that I post this on YouTube, different places. You're all true EV people, and I think you all see the same potential in electric vehicles that I do, especially when it comes to the Aptera. And so I really appreciate all of your great feedback. The Aptera, it's a very simple vehicle, and that's why I think it can take advantage of everything electric vehicles can offer. And that's what makes me especially excited about it. One quick shout out before I show you what's going on with the new app. Um, the LA Auto Show, um, which I guess is in Los Angeles in November. There's no way I'll ever be there. I'm completely other side of the country. But if you scroll down, if you go to their website and you scroll down to the Zevos and you hit link more, learn more, they're voting for the best electric vehicles. And so if you look at the top compact ZEV, there's our Aptera. Our Aptera is up for a vote, so vote to support it. Um, to be honest with you, one thing I do is I collect information and data on electric vehicles. I'm already at like past 100, 20, 130, probably like 140 vehicles by now. I've collected information on all of these vehicles, actually data on all these vehicles, and to be honest with you, I look at the price per range and the price per performance, so to see what the best value is. And so far, the Aptera kicks everybody's butts when it comes to that. But also at the same time, I don't think that the Aptera should be considered in the same category as all of these. These are all cars, and fit probably 4 or 5 people. And the Aptera is, it's not a car; it's a vehicle. So I honestly don't think it should be in the same category as all that. It's in its own category at the moment. But anyway, show your support. Vote for Aptera if you feel that that is the top compact electric vehicle. So I want to show you a couple of the ideas I have and advancements I've made to the app. The first one involves the climate system. So electric vehicle owners know quite well that in any electric vehicle, the climate system is what tends to use the most energy. It tends what drains the battery the most. And so electric vehicles have included heated seats. And because they are far more energy efficient than the climate system, and so those are encouraged to be used more for comfort. And so my idea is a special mode for the climate system called Auto R. And so you'll notice that I've added this little blue button here, and it is blue. It's not the standard Aptera green. And that's because that blue means something very special. And so what I imagine this feature would do is when you tap on it, you'll notice that it changes the seats to auto mode as well as the temperature. And so what I imagine this would do is it would use some sort of algorithm to regulate the temperature better, that would not only use the climate system, but also use the seat system, I guess that you want to call it the C system as well. As we've kind of seen a little bit, it seems like the Aptera is going to take advantage of not only heated seats, but also cooling seats as well. And so that just gave me, this idea that I'm like, well, it's primed and ready to go for this type of thing. And so activating this mode would, activate some sort of algorithm within the vehicle that would use, the seats, turn them on and off, in conjunction with the climate system, so that you'll be comfortable, but also, be very wise with the resources the battery has. So of course, this, comfort is relative to each person. So what I imagine I would do is there would be some sort of settings button over here, or somewhere, in this app, where there'd be a slider. And you can decide for yourself if you choose maybe a little more seat and less climate, or if you prefer to have the climate use more, and less seat. And so you'd find a balance that works for you. But again, your whole trip, the Aptera will be regulating that completely on its own. And again, it would do in such a way that it would save resources, on the battery. So that's actually a feature I've had an idea for a long time, and I thought, this is something that would be in the Aptera itself. But I thought, you know what, put it in the app. Why not? You know what, we put everything else in there, so why not? So another area that I fleshed out was the account menu. And so in here, of course, you have the, if you own one Aptera, you might end up ending two. And so of course the app can only show you one at a time, but here's where you would go to look at any other Apteras that you may own. And so, if I want to look at the stats for, this one, I could tap on that, and then that will become the main subject of my app. But I imagine that also in addition to that, it'd also be able to look at any perhaps solar batteries you have, with your house. And so, so you'll be able to track those things as well. And so to add another one would be quite simple. Tap on this button here, and so the app is going to search your phone for apps that you have that are used to regulate and manage and organize, solar batteries, for your house. And so to add a new one, you simply say, okay, well, which app, do you want to grab that data from? And so, for example, let's say, as you saw on that one, perhaps I already have a Powerwall. Maybe I have two, and I want to add that other Powerwall. So I'll click on the Tesla app. It'll show me all the remaining products that I could add, to my Aptera app that I can, monitor. So I'm going to add that there, and then it'll have me choose a nickname. So you imagine that the keyboard would pop up, and you would choose a name, and you'll also have a character limit, and you'll see why that's important in a second. So imagine I chose that nickname, tap on, and there you go. I named it Tesla PW, and so that's been added. So if I go back to the main menu there, well, there it is. So now I can start looking at that too. And so what I imagine, if I were to tap on, one of these, I want to look at it. I can't imagine there'd be a whole lot of information that it would be telling you. I imagine it wouldn't have 5 different navigation menus. It would just have one menu, tells you the current percentage. It'll tell you what's your input and output. Maybe a couple of other things, but nothing too fancy. So something else I want to show is the account page. And so, if you want to look into your account, you have contact info, order history, charge history. Account rights is something I really wanted to focus on. And so what I came up with is an admin system. So for example, say I'm the primary owner of this Aptera, and so therefore I am the admin, I guess you could say, of the Aptera and this app. And so by default, different things, I have these privileges. I can toggle surveillance mode. I can manage automation tasks. That's something we're going to get into in a second. I can limit top speed. Those are all things that, as an admin, by default, I have those privileges. But let's say that perhaps I wanted to give those privileges to someone else. Maybe someone's a little more tech savvy, or they're better at that at me. Well, I can grab driver number 1 and say, you know what, I'm going to give you the ability to manage automation tasks. And so, that's something that I can do. So why is, what is the point of all this? Well, I'm going to show you. So programming your electric vehicle, being able to program your electric vehicle, I believe, is the height of luxury and EV lifestyle. That's where I feel the true potential of electric vehicles are. Because they're electric, they have true computers in them, which means there's very few things that you can't do with them. And so I believe that being able to automate your vehicle and create tasks is just the height of greatness of what these vehicles can achieve. And so for that reason, I came up with the automation and tasks menu. Me personally, I own a Model 3, and doing a couple of different things, I have automated several tasks, from my Model 3, different things that I want to do. But of course, it takes a little bit of programming understanding, and and even if you have that, it's still not the clearest thing in the world. So I thought, well, how could we create tasks and automations for our vehicles, but it could be easily understood by anybody? Maybe with just a couple minutes of trying. So we created this menu. And so, for example, it's asking us, to create a task. So tap on that, and it says, okay, well, what kind of task do you want to create? Do you want to create a task related to the climate system, or do you want to create a task related to the charging system? So let's say I want my Aptera to warm itself, before I go to work, every day, same time. Now, of course, I could wake up, 30 minutes before work, look at my phone, tap that button to turn on, the air and everything, and then it'll be, hopefully it'll be ready to go by the time I leave. Or I could just program my vehicle to do it itself. So I'm going to choose a climate task. Shows a little icon there, so I know that I'm dealing with something with climate. And so now it's asking me, okay, well, what time do you want your task to begin? So I'll have these little scroll wheels to kind of choose my time. It's already pre-programmed, so it doesn't really matter. So I choose my start time. And then as you begin adding these things step by step, it is writing out on top exactly what it is that your task is going to do. And so that's what I imagine would make it simple and easy for anybody to understand exactly what it is that you're telling this thing to do. And so, okay, so this task at 6:30 a.m., if the temperature outside is what? Whatever temperature. Okay, at 6:30, if the temperature outside is 50 degrees or higher or lower, lower. Okay, so if it's 50 degrees at 6:30, if it's 50 degrees or lower outside, then I want you to set the climate in the vehicle to whatever, and I can choose. Okay, well, how long do you want it to, the climate? Do you want the climate system to be on for a certain period of time, or just, indefinitely? And if I choose, nothing, it will just do that. And so I've created a task here. At 6:30, if the temperature outside is 50 degrees or lower, well, then I want you to turn on the climate system to 73 degrees, and you're just going to keep that on, until I get in the car and turn it off. So I created that task in a single tap of a button. I've sent that to the Aptera. Let's take a look at creating a task for the charging system. So once again, starts out very similar. Okay, well, what time do you want this task to begin? Whatever. Pre-programming doesn't really matter. At 11 p.m., I want you to begin charging using what? So you'll notice if you noticed a small little detail at the beginning, where these two come from is that I guess I didn't really give it a name. Those products that you saw in the account screen, and that's the purpose of them. Not only that I can monitor them, but also when I've added them to my app, I am now able to create tasks involved in those. And so with this, you're able to create a charging hierarchy for your vehicle. So, imagine that, you have solar panels on your house, you have these power walls, and maybe some of them, maybe only one of them you want to use to charge, your vehicle, and the other one is as a backup for your house. Or maybe you just want a certain amount of it to be used, for your vehicle, and then when it hits that point, it stops and moves on to the others. Well, that's what these tasks are for. And so you'll start to see. So 11 p.m. begin charging using, this source here, okay? And for how much? Do you want to use until it's empty, or do you want to have a set amount? Like I said, it's pre-programmed. It's, really doesn't matter. And so after you've already used one, it's grayed out. You can't use it again, and so you'll just continue to go through. Okay, so I want you to use this one first until it's empty. Use this one for, for 30 kilowatts, and then, you can go to, your outlet there. And then you can tell it, okay, well, is there a time that you want this to, to stop charging? Yeah, stop charging at 7 o'clock a.m. And a simple tap, able to send it to the Aptera. So that is the automation and tasks system. Admittedly, that priority system with charging, that's probably the one thing that probably wouldn't happen. I don't know a whole lot about the back end, but I imagine it would take a lot of cooperation between all those apps and others to make that happen. So that's probably the feature that I would love to see happen, but it'd probably be the most difficult, if not, probably not going to happen. But a point about the automation task system. Now, as you've noticed, for example, in this app, there's 3 different people that have access to this vehicle. Now, if everyone is creating tasks, won't it get messy? Won't people, won't you have tasks, here and there that is completely, override each other? Well, absolutely. And that's why the admin system exists. So an admin will be the person who can approve or disapprove tasks. And perhaps, maybe that's something they don't want to do. Well, they can give that privilege to somebody else, maybe someone more tech savvy. I actually had my father in mind for this. My father, he would absolutely love Tone and Aptera, and he would love the idea of tasks, but he would have no idea how to do it. So he would easily just say, you know what, you go ahead and do it for me. So along with this, I imagine that within the Aptera, you could access some sort of calendar, a task calendar, much like what you have with like Outlook, things, different tools like that, or Google Calendar, where you have these blocks where it shows you where these tasks are. So I imagine that within your Aptera, you'd have some way to look at that, see what tasks are running and when. And I also imagine that from the app itself, it wouldn't be too difficult to export that task list as an Excel file, so it'd be easily, viewable. So these are just some of the ideas that I've had for the app, my idea of a companion app for the Aptera, and some of the advancements I've made to it. I want to thank everybody again for your suggestions, your comments. Um, I really appreciate it. I was planning to have a prototype for you guys to play around with this time around, but I want to clean it up a little bit first. I'm also going to overhaul some of the placement of different things. So it's gonna, so I'm gonna try to clean it up a little bit first, so it's something that's very enjoyable to use. You know, but that shouldn't take super long to get to. But thank you very much for watching. Please leave your comments and suggestions. Let me know what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Let me know what features you want to see. Your thoughts on these these feature ideas that I have. Let me know. I really appreciate any kind of feedback that I get. After all, it's electric vehicle owners and those that recognize their potential. You're the ones that I'd be designing this sort of thing for. And so, hearing your feedback is exactly what I want. So thank you very much for watching this, and tune in for the next iteration.